Welcome to Surviving Stalking with your hosts Karen and Chelsea. This podcast is brought to you by Action Against Stalking, the only anti-stalking specific support charity in Scotland. The charity was created by a stalking survivor to encourage and empower others to speak out against stalking, seek support and change the narrative. Caution is advised as some themes may be sensitive to listeners. This episode has a guest host, Anne Moulds. We interviewed Anne for our first episode of this podcast, so you can listen back to hear more about Anne's story. Anne is the founder of the charity Action Against Stalking, and she has created many campaigns throughout the world, but more specifically in Scotland, where she passed the stalking legislation.
Hello, William. It's been a long time since we last spoke. It's been a long time since we last met.
Yes.
Must be about at least 12 years ago. Anyway, lovely to see you again. And for our listeners, I'd like to introduce William Hunt, owner of Savile Row Exclusive Gents Outfitters. Just to give you a wee bit background, William contacted me many years ago when I was taking forward the stalking legislation. To ask for help and support regarding a stalking situation that William was involved in as a victim. And at that time was having stalking wasn't even properly recognised as a criminal offence at that time. We were still trying to strengthen the legislation on it. And one of the biggest challenges that William had was getting the police to take notice, to get the police to recognise what was happening, to get the police to intervene and stop the terrible impact this was having on not just William's mental health, not just William's life, but also on his business as well. And when I look back and remember the times that I spoke to William, it was pretty horrendous what William had to tolerate and go through. We've been very lucky today that William has joined us, now willing to speak out about stalking, now willing to raise awareness about men being stalked, the impact of men being stalked, and what more needs to be done for men, for this to be recognised that stalking is just not a female-only crime. Men get stalked as well, and the impact on men can be in a different way sometimes, can be just as devastating. It can destroy their mental health, it can destroy their business, their financial life, their social life. So, and I would like to say thank you to William for joining us today and bringing awareness of his experience of being the victim of a stalker. And it was a friend who stalked William. So I'm going to hand over the floor to William and invite William just to tell us a bit more about the stalking, what happened, how the police dealt with it, how it impacted on his mental health and on his business. So welcome, William, and thank you very much for joining us today for this podcast.
Thank you, Anne, and thanks for inviting me on today. Can I first start by saying thank you for all your support when this whole affair started. You are magnificent. The work you do and your guys do is incredible. I think a knighthood should be, is a damehood, is it? Sorry, should be there for you guys, and for yourself. And the support you gave me during a horrendous time was magnificent. And here we still are talking about it,
Wonderful.
and hopefully helping people.
Wonderful, William. So tell me I remember the story. I remember because we met for coffee whenever I was down in
Funnily enough,
London.
I remember it too.
And what's that?
I said, funnily enough, I remember it too.
Yeah,
It's still going on. It's still going on. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away.
Because,
no.
Okay, so that it was about 12 years ago, wasn't it? 13,
yeah, approximately 12, 14 years ago, something like that. I mean, you try and block it out. You try and sort of put it behind you. And we all think we're big, strong lads. And, you know, when somebody says, oh, I've got a stalker, well, you know. And then people think, and then you say it again. And they go, what do you mean? And you go, yeah, I've got a stalker. You go, oh, well, what have you done? And that's the first thing that everybody says. Even my then partner, they said, what did you do? What have you done to them? You must have upset them somehow. Now, there's harassment. If you owe someone £10, which we discussed before, that You owe someone £10, they keep ringing you up and going mad about £10. That's harassment. Stalking is a totally different matter. I don't need to tell you because you were instrumental in getting those two offences separated and recognised as individual things. But stalking is possibly, apart from, proper illnesses and stuff, physical illnesses, is one of the worst psychological things that any person can do to someone else. Because at first you think, oh, I'll go after him, it's just go away, And which of us is sane anyway? To what level of sanity is there? We're all different sort of levels of. I suppose sanity is a gauge of acceptability. If your quirkiness is accepted, then you're not mad, are you? But it's a great shame. I met when we was kids, 17, 18. He's a good guy, a nice guy, and a talented guy. And I used to do some work with him. I'd have a beer with him after work and stuff like that. We're both designers. Back in Manchester. Unfortunately, he took cheap money. In Manchester at the time, in the 80s, there was a lot of dirty money.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of dirty money. And people wanted to sort of clean up their money. Me, I was, no, thank you. Like this. Not that I ever got involved, but all of a sudden his career sort of like leapt forward. And it's like, well, how have you managed to do that? He's gone from a little workshop to a big place and a shop and all sorts of stuff. And
so can I just intervene? So you were working with him. He was a designer then. Is that what I'm hearing?
Talented designer. Yeah.
So he was a gifted designer. So
totally, yeah, nice boy too. Nice boy.
So he was designing. Was it fabrics or suits or?
He was the leather. He specialised in leather goods, leather jackets. Really good stuff. Really beautiful stuff. And I would design something. I didn't get it made for me. It was a great relationship.
So what started as a business arrangement became a friendship where you would meet up.
So I wouldn't, I wouldn't ring him up to meet him or anything other than to work. But it was a nice relationship. It's just a work social relationship, and he was a popular guy. So
what happened then? So did he take an umbrance against you, William?
Well, I moved down to London, stayed in Manchester. Not that's got any relevance, but what went on in the 80s in Manchester was all the sort of like the sort of dodgy money flooding into Manchester. I got mixed up with the wrong sort. He got mixed up with the wrong sort, and the story is that he was basically kicked out of his own business.
Right.
And for some reason, I hadn't spoken to him for an awful long time. And then he went into my store in Savile Row and left his number for me to contact him. And so I rang him. Of course I would. Nice guy. So I rang him. Hey, how you doing? He goes, yeah, I'm fine. He said, I need to speak to you. I need to see you. I'm saying, no, yeah, what? You started up doing leathers again or something. I'm thinking, great opportunity. And he said, no, I need to speak to you. I said, well, tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what it's about. He goes, I can't speak to you on the phone. His tone changed, I said, well, I've got no business I can't speak about on the phone. So you need to tell me what it is. And he sort of went, no, I need to see you in person. I said, no, but you need to tell me what you need to see me about. And he started swearing at me and getting really agitated. I said, there's nothing we need to talk about that makes you like this. And then he came out the line, you introduced the IRA to me. They infiltrated my brain. You took my girlfriend off me. I didn't at all.
Wow.
I knew his girlfriend, lovely girl. I knew her before. I knew him for 5 years earlier. Another talented designer, great person. And it was just all ramblings like that. I went, I don't know what you're talking about. And I just hung up. And that was it. That's when it started. He rang me back again the next day, calm and just chatty. And then the minute I resisted meeting him, he just went right into the same story. And then he said, you owe me. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. It was that. I said, I don't. Perhaps you could tell me what it is you want. Just the ramblings about that. So after a week or so of this, and I told my missus, and everybody you tell says, well, what have you done to upset them? Straight away. Not like, oh my God, that's terrible. It's straight away. You must have done something to upset them. So that blaming came on to you that somehow you were responsible for this? Yeah. You must have done something in the past to him. You must have done something. So I'm like, no, I've done nothing to this guy. Other than being polite, other than being nice, other than whatever it is you do to people you work with and have a beer with, How did that feel when everyone started pointing fingers that it must have been your fault? Exactly that. Exactly. Which is upsetting in itself. It's frustrating and upsetting. So it goes on, and then I can't remember if I spoke to you first or the police. I think I spoke to you first before I went to the police, or did I go to the police? I ended up going to the police. You were brilliant. And then I went to the police, and they didn't take it seriously. And they said they'll go out around and speak to him. And I sort of gave him I gave them the best description I could. I gave him a phone number. So they arranged to meet him and have a chat with him, and that was that. All sorted out, except it wasn't. It just started straight away again, and it was the same riddle. It was like, I need to speak to you. I need to talk to you. What about you know what it's about? You're just going, I don't, get lost. And it just went on and on. Then he started ringing up my office. Then he started threatening the girls, scaring the girls. One of the girls left. First off, her parents started to come and pick her up. This was a 22, 23-year-old young girl. Parents started picking her up because she told her parents, and then I got the blame for that. You must have done something. So the blame thing went on for a long, long, long time. Even the police asked me what I'd done to. Why would someone do this to you?
So that victim blaming attitude here coming in, that somehow you're responsible for his behaviour. You've upset
you want to go, I've done nothing.
Yeah.
I just want you to, all the way through this, I recognised that he wasn't evil. He needs some help. At first I was angry, get lost. But then for him to persist, you can have an argument with the guy in the pub, you say, get lost, and the next time you see him, you're like, all right, that's it, and it's what you're on about. This wasn't that. This was just irrational, and I'm just thinking this behaviour is just weird and weirder and weirder. Then I spoke to a friend of mine, Steve, and I said, have you seen lately? He says, yeah, he came down to my office. Yeah, I said, and? He said, he was acting really strange. I said, what did you do? He said, I just kicked him out. I wouldn't put up with it. I said, because he came on to me. He said, you didn't engage, did you? I said, I did. He went, and I told him the situation. And he's the only one that said, he might have a problem. He's not well.
So he understood
my friend,
something.
Yeah, my friend Steve said he spoke to his brother, and his brother wouldn't have anything to do with him. I don't really know his brother. He wouldn't have anything to do. So I'm now stuck with this guy who's blaming me for all the failures and nasty things, horrible things that he'd done in his life, He'd taken shortcuts in his life and his career, and they'd come around and bitten him. So
that must have been quite shocking, from what was a friend, good business acquaintance, come friend, good working relationship. And then something shifted in his life because he'd get in too deep with the wrong type.
Well, I'm thinking that because, and I think the pressure of losing everything to the wrong types and stuff, that may have triggered this. I don't know. But I'm thinking he was blaming me.
Yeah.
I mean, the allegations of me introducing to the IRA, God forbid, you're an Irish, so-and-so and blah, blah, blah. So he's put two and two together and got with 17, So this went on, and then I really had to sort of hammer into the police, really, really hammer into them. And they're going, well, you can get a private injunction if you want. And I said, no, this is a criminal offence. You need to do it. So they told him, and days later, within days, he's back on the phone and blah, 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 blah. And not only me, like myself, as I said, it was other people in my work. And then he started ringing up from a phone box. You do that, they ring up, 1471.
Yes.
And the number was, our number then was 485, whatever it was. The number was 485, so I reckon he was round the corner. I reckon he was close by, and I went round the corner, and he was there in a phone box, literally in a phone box.
Wow. How frightened were you? Were you starting to get frightened at this stage, William?
Not physically frightened, for myself personally.
Right.
At this point, I was quite angry.
You were angry?
Yeah, at this point, I was quite angry, and there was a little bit of physicality.
Right.
He's got, I'm going to call the police. I said, well, you're making threats to me. So, and if that sort of, and I called the police again and told them that because he'd been told to stay away. He'd been warned by the police.
Right. So he'd had a warning.
Yeah. There was no restraining orders yet. So I went and hammered that into the police, how he'd been, blah, blah, blah. And I don't have technology as such. I don't have an old mobile phone, so I didn't take pictures or anything. It's not the first thing you think of. Went to the police, and then we got our first restraining order. I think we went to Marylebone. Was it? No, Southwark Court.
Right.
And we're all in there, and the judges said that he's now got a lawyer, and blah blah blah. The lawyer's making out like he's an angel, and I'm the bad guy, and blah blah blah. And I was just going, guys, it doesn't matter about all this. Who's right? Who's wrong? I just want him to stay away from me. And I think he needs some help. I think we need to can see this. The guy's not well. Well, you're not a psychiatrist and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not, but he needs some help. Can we get him out? That was a common thing. And so he got a year restraining. The day and the time that restraining order was over, bang, he was back out again. So he honoured the restraining order. Bang, he was on the phone again. Straight back into court, and just a day, not quite daily, but certainly 4 or 5 times a week, you get some kind of communication.
Where do you think it was falling through, William? Because there wasn't a proper offence of stalking at that time. So did the police, what happened? So you got was he in court because he broke the injunction?
Well, he got a warning from the police to stay away. And then the police prosecuted him because they told me it's a civil offence, which
it was a civil offence, right?
Yeah, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but I managed to get the police to take because he was making threats.
I'm with you.
I managed to get the police. Again, forgive me if I'm not my clarity a little bit, but I managed to get the police to take a charge against him, if that's the right terminology. We took him in court. He got the restraining order because I don't want him near us. He's threatening young girls and he's intimidating everyone. We got the restraining order. 1 year later, exactly to the day, he's back on the phone, straight back into court. This time went into Marylebone court. And I'm saying, well, why can't we have an indefinite restraining order? All the shenanigans in the court, me being cross-examined. And I'm just thinking, why are we spending all this money and all this time and effort? The guy just needs some help. I want to be left alone.
Was he charged? So what was he charged with at that point?
Well, stalking, I'm sure it was sort of harassment.
It probably harassment at that time, because stalking wasn't really recognised as a legal concept or a legal construct at that time. So it would be, and of course that doesn't actually capture the fixated obsessional attention of stalkers. Harassment's a different concept. It's a nuisance crime. Whereas
you'll know. It's something I tried to block out of my mind, but whatever we did, we got another year, and I'm saying, well, please, can we have 3 years? Can we have 2 years? They said, no, that's all we can judge it, explain it. That's all we can do. And it wasn't a minor court was in it. It was a decent sized court. So another year goes by, bang, the same thing happened again. He's on the phone, same old rubbish again, and I'm just angry. I'm just like, go away, I'm angry. So straight back into the police. Now the police are actually taking me a little bit more seriously, but the courts are not.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now there's a lady police officer, and we're down at Snaresbrook. Yeah, Snaresbrook. And I'm thinking, I'm in the same court now as the Crays were in. This is crazy. Absolute madness. And that's when the defence really, then it was in the court for 6 days.
6 days? Wow.
6 days, yeah. And I called my original friend that had been bothered by him as a witness. And he said, look, I can't stay here for this long. I've got to go back to work. So he came in one day, came back the next day. We just sat there in a room for a whole day, then another day, while they give all their evidence and this like that. It was just a circus, an utter circus. The defence guy's telling me that I'm making it all up, that his client is innocent. And I'm just saying, guys, look at him. He's fired you twice now. Then he's reinstated you. He's got a witness that lives with him that's never seen him make a phone call, apparently, but he can't produce that witness. I'm guessing that witness wears a big furry outfit, got big ears, and he's called Harvey, which they didn't appreciate. I asked them to do their job. I said to the judge, please do your job. And I did something pretty nasty afterwards that I'm not very proud of. I waited, and it was just more rubbish for, what's the right word? When they want to deliberations, is that the right word?
Yeah.
They gave him a 2-year restraining order this time. Sorry, not at this point. So, and the defence lawyers are telling me that I'm telling lies. I said, look, guys, you're all being paid to be here. You're being paid. I'm losing money by being here. And it's also caused a lot of emotional stress, not just on myself, but a lot of other people as well.
But what I'm hearing also is that it's just repeat restraining orders, back round the court again, this revolving system. Yeah. They hadn't done any risk assessment. They weren't recognising this man wasn't going to stop. And all they were going to do was just do a tick box exercise, tick box,
That's all it.
and it was just
That's all
coming
it was.
back round again. And
Yeah.
what I do know is that it's an area that's not spoken about an awful lot, William, is the revengeful stalker.
I missed that last bit, sorry.
A revengeful stalker. He's becoming now a
Well, he was getting worse. He was getting worse.
He would be escalating because they do not stop. It's that perceived sense of injustice. And
That's
he
exactly
will
right.
destroy your world.
That was
He
his
will
plan.
not stop until your world is destroyed.
And it was having an effect. It was having a huge effect. There was a massive strain on my relationships at home. Still, people sort of laughing at the situation, and a distrust. The distrust when people comes in. Because people love to spread bad news, don't they? Bad news travels a lot further than good news and a lot quicker. So I'm now in court again. There's a little bit of press on it. And then this time, between the first two injunctions or restraining orders, he went into Savile Row and sprayed a spray can all around my products and wrecked the shop, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, he wrecked the shop, smashed the windows, and my staff were there. Now, they were told, anyone comes to that, stand aside, don't get physically involved because you don't know what they've got, knives and stuff. Apparently he had a 9-inch knife with him. So it was pretty serious now.
How frightening is that?
Yeah. So that's what hit the newspapers. That's what got the newspapers. That's what got the newspapers interested. From there, we got him into Snaresbrook, and I'm thinking, I'm just hearing the same again. The last two times been in court, not really that interested, not taking it very seriously. The defence lawyer just telling me that I'm lying. There was one bit where he cross-examined me, which was hilarious. Well, not hilarious, but it was, mildly amusing. When he told me to make a statement, and he started saying, "This isn't the same statement, word for word, as your statement." Well, at this point, I said, "Well, they're 2 years apart. What I said just now is the same thing as what I said 2 years ago, but I'm sorry I've not used the same words. I put it to you, I'm lying," and basically shouting at me and stuff, And I just said, "Well, God forbid you're ever thought in the situation." He started saying, "I'm making it up. This is to get your brand in the press and all this sort of stuff." And then he asked me a question. I said, "I'm sorry, I don't understand the question." And then he asked it me again. I said, "I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying." He said, "Let me put it another way." So he put it another way. And I said, "No, I don't understand. Can you ask me the way you asked me the first time?" And he couldn't. I said, "You just changed your words." And that was 30 seconds ago. You've not said word for word what you said 30 seconds ago. And that you're telling me that I didn't say word for word what I said 2 years ago.
So this was so in the court, this was them trying to trip you up.
Absolutely trying to trip me up.
So you're now under the spotlight completely, which is what happens in a criminal court. You're now under the spotlight, trying to justify, trying to defend yourself.
Yeah, I'm defending myself at this point.
When all this has happened and he's actually practically destroyed your shop.
Doing it best. It was physically destroyed the shop, cost us a lot of money.
That would have done. And
thousands. 10, 12, 15,000 pounds worth of damage he did.
Because I think what we'll do, because we don't have a lot of time, I think what we'll do is we'll record a part 2 after this about the impact, William, because I think what's important is that we hear the story of how this unfolded, the revolving door, the court's not taking it seriously, and this man's just escalating all the time.
Well, that's the first time there's a physical threat. He went in, he had a knife with him. He threatened staff and get him here, shouting, screaming. I don't know word for word else there, but get him here. We had it all on camera, and without the camera, they wouldn't have taken it seriously. And even then, the police didn't want to get involved. They weren't that bothered, because it's just some bloke that the stalking, probably deserves it. And it was
your fault, of course. You're upsetting this man somehow. Somehow you're upsetting this man is the message that's being delivered.
Even at this point, we're in court now in Snaresbrook, and I'm saying, can somebody please get this guy some help? There is no benefit of this guy being out on the loose in the street. If it's not, I don't know who else he's stalking or causing these troubles with, but somebody please get him some help. And they looked at me like, who the hell are you to talk to us and tell us this? And I'm just literally pleading, say, please, Your Honour, look at him. He's sacked his barrister 2 or 3 times. He's taken over the court. He's talking absolute gobbledygook, just gobbledygook in the court.
So am I hearing then, and it's not something that's well understood, William, is that how stalkers use the legal system
to their
advantage, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they become the victim. This guy made a victim of himself.
Yeah, and it becomes their legal agent.
Yeah.
And the police don't recognise it, the courts aren't recognising it, but they can use the criminal justice system as their legal agent.
I thought the court was basically a money-making machine, because they're all getting paid for 6 days for me and this guy in court. 6 days they took money out of the system. The judge sat there for 6 days, deliberating, adjourning. Oh, let's all adjourn for tea, shall we? Oh, let's all go and play golf this afternoon. And I'm accused of making it all up. And these guys are literally just creaming money out of the system by getting paid. I don't know what these barristers get paid, but I guess it's not a small amount of money. And they were just playing it, dragging it out. The guy's ill. Anyone could see he was ill. He was talking utter gobbledygook when he was when it's his turn to speak, quoting poems, just rubbish. There's a famous thing when Eric Cantona said something about when the seagulls follow the trawler. He was just having some fun with the press. But that's the sort of stuff this guy was coming out with, just utter gobbledygook and rubbish, and quoting imaginary people, and he's just like going, what?
So there was
please.
So there was a delusional aspect to it, which they're usually, without a doubt, with the revengeful stalkers. Did at any point the police ever say to you, we need more evidence, because without the shop being destroyed?
At this point, there was a young lady officer, her name escapes me right now, and she actually took it seriously. She's the first one that actually said, no, we're going to sort this out. This is ridiculous. And she was great. She gave me a lot of comfort, an awful lot of comfort.
Good.
And assurance, and here's my direct number, and here's this, here's that, sort of thing. And she was great. She was great. She was telling me about what goes on for these things, how it's just an awful waste of time. So much time just burned away, just proving nothing,
Yeah.
I remember at one point where a guy came out of the court grinning. She went, I put him away. He just got off. She said, no way, that guy should have got off. I can't remember what the offence was. But she was great. She sat with me through the whole thing. And you feel totally demasculated. Is that right? Is that the right word? I don't outwardly do stress. I don't like going, oh, God, I'm stressed. I carry on. But I remember one day I woke up and I was away working. I woke up and I couldn't move.
Where is your stalker now?
He's still being held at His Majesty's pleasure. That's got to be getting on 6-7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and I get a phone call every 2 years from a lovely lady called Emma, and they said, look, he's up for parole. Bearing in mind that I have an illness now called polymyalgia rheumatica, which is not funny. It's like fibromyalgia, but it's brought on by stress. And I don't do outward stress. I just obviously keep it in. So that's like a solidifying of my joints and stuff. And it's basically caused by stress.
So every time that you get this phone call, does your stress levels shoot up?
Again, I don't really register stress. Then my body starts to register it, show me actually your stress, as it were, sort of thing. So I've still got that illness. It comes and goes.
William, tell me about the mental health, and because the mental health and physical health are interlinked. So what was the impact on you as a result of all? Because that was quite a good number of years that went on.
Yeah, I felt that people, I felt shame.
Shame?
Yeah, I felt shame, which is a horrendous feeling. I felt that people wanted to know why and weren't accepting my reasons of why.
Okay.
Not many people know people that are ill, mentally ill. They used to be called mad, and they can't understand.
And you would be well known within people of high standing within London anyway, because you were an exclusive Brent's Outfitters.
Yeah, I mean, so that's our clientele. Everybody takes a pee in the morning, so everyone starts the day the same way. But our clientele were regarded as highbrow, and it's not great to have a guy that offers a service such as myself to these highbrow customers to be mixed up in something like this. It's not great, And there's a bit of like sideways glance, what has this guy done? So it resonated right the way through from my home relationship with my then partner, who just couldn't understand why someone would want to do that to me. Not in a nice way, but what have you done? And it's that I don't think that ever. And then there's my suspicion, thinking that they think that I've done something, sort of thing, and you become sort of hypersensitive to everything. You become sensitive to everything. as the distrust comes in.
Uh-huh.
First, you're thinking, does he know anyone else? You know, is he getting information from anyone? Which is just rubbish. It's just what creeps into the
And
back of
did
your head.
he have access to any of your customers' lists or anyone that bought from your shop? That were you worried about that? He may have targeted them as well.
The physical attack on the property hit the press, and that action made the police, get sort of action it a bit, take it a bit more seriously. And I got a little bit of sympathy from people, but no one really understands. It's just not something guys understand. You punch the guy in the face, you bash him up, and then that's the end of it. But it doesn't, because the police are involved, then I would get in trouble. I would no longer be the victim. I'd be in trouble. And
so if you tried to protect your property, you would be the one that would get into trouble.
Yeah. So the police involved. Then by the time this young lady got involved, and she was called Anne, actually, the namesake, and she was fantastic. She really was a strong shoulder to lean on. And when we got into Snaresborough, I felt like I've been abused by the defence lawyer, but I'm strong enough to be able to stand up to that. I'm strong enough, but what if I wasn't? What if it was someone else?
Was that in the civil court or the criminal court?
No, it's a criminal court. It's a criminal offence now, because we've got, he's done criminal damage and stuff. What if I wasn't strong enough to stand up to this? What if I didn't? What if my personal, what if the other things were going in my life that weren't as strong as they were? So my life could have easily crumbled. I like to think that I'm mentally strong. I'm physically strong.
But mentally.
But what if I wasn't? And eventually, if you allow this, or if it's allowed to continue, it eats away at you. I became physically ill with polymyalgia rheumatica, which is attributed solely to stress. I have no stress in my life other than normal day-to-day stress that everyone else does. I cope really well with stuff. But obviously, my body told me that you're stressed. So the polymyalgia is only origination is stress. Then I'm on steroids now for this, so I can actually function, because I woke up one day in a hotel that I was away working. I was doing some television work. Woke up next day, had a really nice night, a couple of glasses of wine and a nice dinner with everyone. Went off to bed. Woke up, couldn't move. Literally couldn't move. And I was thinking, this is scary. This is not like I've just run 10K the day before and I'm a bit achy-painy. Not that I run 10K anyway, or capable of. But I couldn't move. And I managed, I literally couldn't move my arm to make a phone call. I managed after about an hour of trying to move.
Yeah,
to run a bath.
I'm so pleased that you've spoken about that, William. And I'll tell you, when I was being stalked all these years ago, that happened to me on numerous occasions. Yeah. Waking up in bed, the stress levels, it's the link between mental health and physical health.
Okay.
They're inextricable.
Yeah.
And of course, mental health wasn't recognised properly at that time.
Yeah.
The impact wasn't recognised, but when it starts to destroy the physical health, and I remember I used to wake up in bed and I couldn't move my body.
No, and you say that, people go, of course you can. You literally can't. I couldn't reach my phone.
I understand that. I have experienced that phenomenon.
Yeah. I managed to get out of bed, and I thought, if I run a hot bath, it'll just break. At this point, I'm confused. I don't know what's going on with my body. I've never experienced anything like this. We've all had spasms and cramps and stuff, I never felt anything like this. I managed to get myself into a bath in immense pain. I sat in the bath and I couldn't get out, but I took the precaution taking my phone with me, and I got one of the guys that I was working with. He had to come in, get a key, and get me out of the bath because I couldn't get out. He put me in a car, and I managed to drive home. I got home. As the day went on, the symptoms eased, and then they were bad. So I managed to get to a doctor. He diagnosed me pretty much instantly, and I was on these steroids, about 6 or 10 steroid tablets I had to take every day, which eased.
So you're now in heavy medication?
Heavy medication, which blew me up like a balloon.
Did your the doctor understood the physical symptoms of stress?
Yeah.
And what was happening? But did he understand the impact of the stalking? Because now you've got tablets to work with the physical ailments, symptoms. Yeah. What about the mental at that point? Did the doctor recognise that?
Yes, and we had a good conversation about that. He was fantastic. Still my doctor to this day, and it's just hard, isn't it? When you've got someone attacking you from all angles, and even though they're not there, every time that phone rings, you're like, oh, the door knocks. You're thinking, I don't think he knows where I live. He's been excluded from anywhere I work. Actually, at this point, he hadn't, because he was off another restraining order. I beg your pardon. At this point, he had, because we're in court. He was told that I had to stay away. Now the court process is going on.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, I'm wondering what stopped him breaching his restraining order sooner, because there was a gap of a year in between sometimes. So
he'd honoured his restraining order. Then the minute that was on, he'd start again. And the minute we got him back into court, he'd stop. So he honoured the first two restraining orders, and then three restraining orders. Sorry, he honoured the first three restraining orders, and then we're in Snaresbrook, and I did something pretty nasty. The judge wasn't taking it seriously at all. Not seriously at all. I felt was siding with the perpetrator, with him.
Wow.
And then one day they said, okay, that's it for today. And they'll have to adjourn and come back next week, and then adjourn again and come back next week. It went on for bloody weeks, this thing. And it was set for 6 days, and they adjourn, and they start, and they adjourn. It's such a cushy number that these guys have got, the way they play it.
So if I had a pie, and I had to ask you to apportion that pie, how much strain did the stalker cause you, and stress, and how much stress did the system cause you? How would you approach?
The system caused me equally, if not more, stress.
The system did?
Yeah, the system caused me equally, if not more, stress than the stalking.
How interesting is that?
Once I was in that system, it was just so stressful. Can you come in tomorrow? We're going to get something done this time. And you sit there all day, or you go into dock and then you're out again. And then you sat there, wait to be caught. It's just rubbish. The system's just rubbish. And it just builds up the stress. And you know what it does? It empowers the stalker.
I was going to say that, because what I'm hearing is, as soon as a victim reports to the police, and then they automatically, because the perpetrator or accused has more rights than the victim, within a criminal justice paradigm, it automatically empowers the stalker over the victim. So you were even more disempowered by this system.
Absolutely. And he was playing the system beautifully. And you knew he'd been reading on it, because he'd got nothing else to do other than research and stuff. And when he had his day in court, or several days in court, was in Snaresbrook at the time, he was just lauding it, utterly lauding it, and loving every second of it, being the focus, because he's a lonely, sad little man.
He was getting the attention, was he?
Just lauding it in the attention, loved it.
And at that time, there were no special measures. Did you feel the discomfiture for you're in that court of law? Here he is playing the system. The focus is on you. You're having to turn yourself upside down to try and justify, no, I'm innocent here.
Yeah.
And that would give him another feeding show. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly that. Exactly. And you've been attacked by his defence lawyer. And they're not stupid guys, these guys. And excuse me, they find a way to... They're trying to find a probe and get into a weakness of you so you can. It's a simple story. He's stalking me. I want to be left alone. He's threatened me. I want to be left alone. I've come to you for some help. And then you're probing, trying to find a weakness in my story. But as I was saying, my kids, tell the truth, because you don't forget the truth. If you make something up, you forget it. So tell the truth. And I was telling the truth. I was only telling the truth.
So even when a victim tells the truth, they're not telling the truth. It's as if you're being baited by the defence. There's a baiting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think baiting's a strong word, but it's the first one that came to my mind there. It's as if they're trying to trip. Well, they've got to trip you up, haven't they? Because it's beyond all reasonable doubt. So
I'll tell you what,
if there's any doubt,
of me was starting to enjoy the mental battle between myself and the prosecution, not prosecution, the defence lawyer, and it became a battle of will. And it's like, I'm thinking, I'm the bloody victim here, and I'm having to defend myself. And you know what? You're making me angry. I'm not angry that I'm going to lose it. You're making me angry. I want to fight you now, and I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you, because you represent the system, and I'm going to fight this system. And I just kept pointing, saying, get him some help. Stop showing off, and get him some help. You do your job, get him some help. And I thought, as much as he can ramble on and just talk gobbledygook, I thought, well, I'm just going to send that message out. You do your job and get him some help. The boy's ill.
And so, and I think what's interesting, it wasn't even just the stress of the stalking, the drip effect. How did you manage living with the uncertainty of the stalking? Because you knew this was becoming tenacious.
The door and phone call. We moved out of London. So fortunately, we had a place we could go to, and you know, she was terrified of any incidents, really. My friends, my close friends, were like, "Who's that? Who's this?" sort of thing, you know. There's some pretty serious threats going on.
Did your friends back off a bit then, William, fearful that they would become entangled in the stalker's web?
Yeah. I'd like to say no, but I think they did. I think they did because, you know, it's a strange one. There's still that. Even today, you would say, people would say straight away, "Why are they stalking you? What have you done to them?" And that's, you know, I've done nothing this guy other than be helpful or just being as anyone would be to what you consider a decent person. I'd like to consider I'm a decent person, as everyone does, thinks they're decent.
Yeah.
But when it was in the Snaresbrook thing, I just realised this court system's just not helping anyone other than themselves. They're all getting paying a fortune to keep coming back and waste so much time when anybody with half a brain could say this guy's not well. Let's get him some psycho. At this point, no one had done a psychological analysis on him. So they adjourned for psychological analysis, and then they came back with that. The judge, I thought, was taking it all very, very flippantly. And I want to tell you what I did with the judge. As I waited outside for her when it had all gone and she was walking to a car, and I just went up to her and said, I'm going to walk you to your car. She said, I don't want you to walk to the car. So I'm going to. And she said, I don't want you to walk the car. I said, why not? She went, well, I'm very uncomfortable. I said, that's what I've been living with for 6 years. 6 years I've been living with that now, or however long it was at the time.
Isn't that horrific for 6 years?
Sorry?
That's horrific. 6 years of being
For
stalked.
6 years on and off, I've been living with that. I don't know who's coming up behind me, who's knocking on my door. I said, you've experienced that for 10 seconds. So please, I'm begging you, do something about it, please. So I waited outside the court for it to come out. I don't remember how long I waited. It wasn't 10 minutes. I thought, you know, the only way to get anything done is to show them what I have to go through. Now, I've come out of that court. They get released as well. You know, they're only on. Did they get released? I can't remember. But the other court cases, that's it. You don't off you go. And he could have tapped me out in the street. He could have tapped me anyway. He could be waiting for me. He could have done anything.
And of course,
you don't know.
When you add up the amount of money you've lost attending court, you're a businessman. You're running a business.
I spent a month in court, maybe longer. Either just sat in the green room, not the green, whatever room it is, either sat there or in court, then been adjourned, then drawn, called back. All the stress of like saying we're going to adjourn till next Tuesday and all this sort of stuff and blah blah blah. It's basically in between going to court and then back in court on that same session, you're still in court because you've got to be on call as well, as I remember. Yeah. They've got to be at a moment's notice. Right, you need to come in tomorrow. So, well, I've got stuff to do.
So what needs to change, do you think? Because we need men to come forward. I'm hearing that to engage with the criminal justice system is a very stressful experience. And with all the victims that we work with, that is actually very much the case. When we're looking at stalking, William, men being stalked, I'm wondering, we've got to be careful here that would it make a difference if it was a woman being stalked? Because we hear about women being stalked.
I missed that and you dropped out of the sound.
We hear a bit more women being stalked. It's more, it's in the media more.
Yeah, I think it would do. Because that's the sort of accepted crime, isn't it?
Right.
That men stalk women.
So how can we help use this to raise awareness and for men? What needs to change for men to feel safe? Because what you said was men don't like to be called a victim. It demasculates them, doesn't it?
Men want to be in control of their own situation.
So how can we move this forward to help that happen for men? Because something needs to shift, that men feel it's okay to stand up and say I'm being stalked. It's okay to say I've got mental health as a result of the stalking. what needs to change that men are recognised that just because men are men and men are big and strong doesn't mean men are not vulnerable and have mental health as well. What do you think needs to change, William?
Listen,
To
take it
listen.
seriously. They need to, whoever you contact this, not look at the person, what they look like, who they are, what physical attributes they've got, what financial attributes they've got. Just treat them as a victim, because I kept being accused of making this whole thing up. That's one of the biggest accusations of the defence. You're making it up. You're making it up. You're making it up. And it's like, well, why do I want to get involved in this? I'm not the one that's ill here. I'm a victim. I mean, the story goes on. He got another restraining order from Snaresbrook, this time for 2 years. And I'm saying, please do it indefinitely. Please do it 5 years, 2 years. And this one he didn't honour. Within 2 weeks, he was back on. And this time, he upped the ante. Don't forget, this time he'd had a knife with him. He'd done physical and criminal damage. So this time it was all restrictions are off. I went straight, and now I've got a good contact at the police who just says anything you need. Within 2 weeks, he's back on. They got him back in. Now we're in court, and guess where we are? In which court we're in now? We're at court number 1 at the Old Bailey.
At the Old Bailey? Wow.
Court number 1 at the Old Bailey. How, as a simple little stalking thing, that this guy is bothering this guy, how has that got to court number 1 at the Old Bailey?
And yet,
how much is that costing?
And by rights, he should have been in jail in a mental health institution.
That's all I was saying. Get him analysed. And this is where it gets really juicy, really juicy. We're now in court number 1, the usual stuff. You go in and you wait and you wait and you wait. And it's quite nice being in this beautiful building, and it's very interesting, and you're thinking, wow, the history. And then once you've thought through all that, you're thinking, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Same story again. Judge, defence, prosecution. He's got no witnesses. There's just the same old thing again. And we're going through the thing, and I'm getting really angry now, really angry. And there's a couple of people in the gallery. I think a friend or two of mine had come down. My then partner had lost interest in the whole thing. It was just, sort it out yourself. It wasn't great for our relationship. We're in court number 1, and I literally shouted at the judge saying, do your job. Please, for God's sakes, do your job. He's ill. And then I just thought, no, this is just the same old rubbish. I'm thinking, we're in court number 1. What is the cost since the start of this? And now the cost thing is probably not my concern, really, but I'm just thinking, is this as mad as he is? Because this is just escalated. We're in the highest court in the land of a simple stalking thing that should have been stopped at the beginning. He should have got it there and then. And this is what we need to highlight. If somebody of good character, which I'd like to think I am, of decent standing, surely, hello, it's what not what I do. This is my reputation. Whether you're a dustbin man, a van driver, I'm in a van today, a van driver, a celebrity, a professional footballer, their words need to be taken seriously straight away. Not thinking, well, you're a big lad, you should be able to take care of this. Well, I'll get arrested if I take care of it physically myself, because they'll run to the police. And why should I take care of it physically myself? I went to the police for protection, and I got no protection. They laughed at me.
In fact, the system modelled the very behaviour that you were experiencing by your stalker.
Yeah.
Was that it was a repeated pattern of back into court, being under the eye of the defence, having to defend yourself, having to justify yourself. So it really modelled the very behaviour that the stalker was doing. It felt as though the system was part of the crime.
Well, I was very definitely. So we're now in court number 1, and I said to the judge told me to be quiet. And I said, no, you know what? You're all talking, but none of you are actually experiencing this. The judge was telling us to be quiet, slamming his thing. I said, no, I've had enough. This is not working. You're totally ineffectual. I'm going to the press. And, they scoffed. I'm going to the press. I've had enough. I'm going to put this on TV. I'm going to expose this scam, actual scam that you're running here. And I did. I went on to ITV. It's this morning. Next day, I go into the court, And because he'd adjourned, next day I got to court. Guess what happened? I walked in, registered. Judge would like to see you in his chambers. Would he now? That's funny. Because I said how ridiculous the court system is. Would he now? And he said to me, what would you like to happen? That's what he said to me. What would you like the outcome of this case? I said, I'd like him to get some proper care and for him to leave me alone. And then there's a halfway chance that he might, if he gets the right care, he may be cured or whatever it is, and I can get on my life. And that is what happened. So we went to the court that day, and wasn't there for long, and they just said, right, off you go. And he was held, Her Majesty's pleasure, to be held in a secure, what they called,
a mental health unit. Yeah. So he's getting the proper care that he needs as well.
He's to be held in a secure medical facility. I can't remember the right words.
Yeah.
Her Majesty's pleasure, which basically can mean life imprisonment.
Yeah. And you've gone on with your life.
Since then, I've got on my life. The only time I brought it up is if people talked about it or something or this, and the person that's meeting with and making a judgment whether he's okay to be released, I'd like to talk to him, and I'd like to sit in a room with. And if he sits down and goes, "I'm really sorry, mate, about this. I'm better now," then I feel more comfortable. But if I sit in a room and he starts going mad, then you'll know he's not cured. Am I allowed to do that? No, that's not in the system. It doesn't allow some person who's probably read some notes, saying, yeah, he's okay. Now, he's not going in there and then doing anything other than putting his best show on.
So I think it's time for the call for action, though. So it's about looking at how victims are still being treated or are being treated or have been treated within the criminal justice system. That needs to change. Secondly, it's about supporting men who are being stalked, because there was very little support for you there, William, at that time.
There's accusations and you're attacked by the system.
You're attacked by the system. The services aren't there. They need specialised knowledge and understanding this type of crime to offer a specialised support system. We're going to have to end here, William. I want to say thank you. But I think... how's about a call to action then? If I to ask you, what would that call to action be in the recognition of men being stalked, how men experience the stalking and the system, I hasten to add? What would your call to action be?
Okay, so this is a message to the police. Please listen. Don't look at the guy that's in front of you. Listen to what he's saying. I know lots of big, ugly men who are very gentle souls. And, just because they look big and look like they can take care of themselves, they're trying to work the system. They're trying to get the system to take care of it. And if they were going to do anything violent, they'd have already done it. They've come to you for help. So please help them.
Thanks, William. And what about men who are being stalked then? What would your message to men being stalked are? That they can
You've got to go to the police, and the police have got to listen. You've got to not look at the person in front of you. You're not some... It doesn't matter how big and strong and ugly they are. That it's here. They're being weakened. They're being hacked away at, and the police have got to take this seriously. You've got to sit down and listen. The police or whoever it is they're talking to have got to take it seriously. They've got to act, and they need to act not as the person is a criminal, but act as though the perpetrator is unwell, because that's what it is. It's a sickness. Nice. And the physical restraints, the threats of physicality don't work with these people, because it just empowers them. They need some help.
They need help.
And I'm proud to say, all the way through this, I was campaigning for him to get some help.
Wonderful.
So, I also wanted to damage him when he's trying to damage me, but I'm not that kind of person.
No,
I'm not. I draw things for a living. I draw pretty things for a living.
And that would just play into the stalker's hands, wouldn't it? Had you done anything?
Because he becomes a victim, then you turn him into the victim.
It took too long. What the stalker wants.
Yeah, it took too long for my thing to be sorted out, and no one took it seriously until I had something on them that I could use. So
can I, for all listeners out there, William's highlighted some very important points about,
I hope so.
To the police about the system, what it's like being the victim of a stalker. Certainly the ones that are lesser known typologies, like these revengeful stalkers, there's a lot out there. Men are being victimized, how it feels for a man. Now, I know William would like to have sorted out his own stalker, but a more compassionate approach which is what William took, recognizing this man needed real mental health intervention as well, but also to react to the stalker. William would have been the one that would have been held to blame. So if you are being stalked, or if you know someone who is being stalked, you do need to seek help. Yes, you need to report to the police, but keep a log of all the incidents. Keep a log of everything. Take screenshots of phone calls, any photographs, record, hold on to any voice messages, record, gather evidence, because it's got to be corroborated in a court of law, and we need best evidence. Also seek support. Action Against Stalking, www.actionagainststalking.org. We support every type of victim of stalker. It doesn't matter who you are, your gender, your creed, it does not matter. We will offer you that support. And mentally, we employ also a professional, accredited mental health professional as well, but our through care system is second to none. We will support you as soon as you make that referral or ask for support. We will be there for you throughout your whole criminal justice journey. So do not hesitate to contact us. Do not hesitate to look at our website, www.actionagainststalking. There is support there for you. Please pick up the phone or please contact us if you're needing help. William, we're going to have to end this interview, and all I can say is thank you very much. This is a call to action. This is a call to action for men to stand up and speak out for men, for all victims of stalking, for women as well. You tend to find that it's mainly women that drive these causes. It's women talking out for women. Well, we've got to change the script a bit now. We want men coming forward. Men, please start speaking up for men. Violence against men is not acceptable. It never will be acceptable, and we cannot tolerate it any longer. Violence against men, we must stand up and speak out. And so this podcast is a call to action for all men to come forward, stand up and speak out for men. Thank you, William. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for joining us. If you want to get notified of new episodes, please click that follow button and leave a review. You can also follow Action Against Stalking on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. All links are below in the show notes. We want to thank our colleagues at the University of West of Scotland. Catch you on the next one.